Well, thank you, and welcome once again. Welcome for the first time to not Where Are They Now, but Tom Holliday. Talking baseball with Tom Holliday. Man, we've been talking about this show for a couple of weeks, and we finally here. Tommy, glad to have you on board. We're going to have a lot of fun with this show every week, every Wednesday at 5:30. And goodness knows, we got plenty to talk about on show number one because one playoff game's already been played. We got one wild card taken care of. One coming up tonight. Let's talk about last night's Red Sox-Yankees game.
I really kind of thought last night was the young guys, the aggressive young team in Boston. Remember, that team finished last year.
Yeah.
And all those young puppies just played last night like fun and loose as a goose. And the Yankees looked tight as they could get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Boone smiled the whole night. And again, Tom, when you're supposed to win and it's a one-game series, I got news for you, man. It's not always talent. It's what your mood. It's who controls the mood. And I know people don't like to use the word choke, but big leaguers choke just like college guys. And they were so tight last night. And then when they got that guy thrown out at home plate with one out, instead of second and third, one out, tying run at second, now you got a runner at second, 2 outs.
Mm-hmm.
The game was over. Their dugout, they lost it.
Yeah.
I mean, the faces that they brought on the screen, they were talking about the winner. And honestly, the way the Yankees approached trying to win, that's a monster upset last night.
Well, obviously the difference was on the mound, though. Evaldi was better than Cole as
Not
a
supposed to
starter.
Not supposed to be.
But it turned out that way.
Yeah.
Bullpen from Boston was better than the bullpen for the Yankees.
Not supposed to be.
But when you walk 8 guys, as you hate getting into pitching because you're going to jump up, but you walk 8 guys, 4 of them come around to score. That's a recipe for disaster. A couple of home runs. So at least last night, whether it was supposed to be or not, Boston had the best on the mound.
Yeah, they won. I mean, they won the game. And again, I'm kind of like not a real fan of the Red Sox. I mean, just a couple years ago, they got accused of cheating.
Well, that's true. That's true.
And then they go into the tank and they finish last. They come back and win. Now, tip your hat to the guy that managed that ball club. That was some kind of turnaround baseball.
Well, Cora, though, was kind of caught up in all that mess, too, right?
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you got to kill the monkey, throw it off your shoulder, turn around, manage a ball club, and then he just beat the New York Yankees, who everybody knows they'll spend whatever it takes to win.
Mm-hmm.
And now you start to wonder, like, is the general manager of the Yankees, does he have a real feel for what it takes to win? Because when somebody gives you an open checkbook and you have the best minor league system in baseball and it still didn't happen. I mean, I like the Yankees' talent, but again, center fielder's been out for 2 months, but he's always out, Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
And they're playing a 37-year-old center fielder who is a great team guy, but his talent's diminished.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, watch the Yankees over the next, 2 or 3 days.
Okay, today San Diego got rid of their manager, Tingler. He becomes a second in the last 3 days to get the axe. Rojas got the pig slip from the Mets. Talk about San Diego in general before we get to tonight's matchup with the Cards and Dodgers.
Well, the Padres did the same thing. They went out and loaded up, and they took their run. This was going to be their run year. And, you throw a lot of money at Darvish, and you bring him in to be your number one guy on the mound because they had a couple puppies that were really good, Paddock and those guys. And so, hey, they got the best young hitter in baseball. They add him to Hosmer, Machado, Myers. I mean, the Padres were ready to win, and they didn't win. And
they were in position to win about halfway through.
Yeah, and you got a third baseman making $30 million. You have a Tatis making $175 billion over the next, I don't know, whatever that contract was, 19 years or something. But you give people money like that, you're betting on championships. And then Tingler's he's the manager, didn't get it done. You're not firing and you're not trading that talent that I mentioned. So for Tingler to get fired, I hope his bench coach gets it. But again, I really think that you're going to see Showalters, you're going to see Johnny Farrell, you're going to see guys that have been there and done that come back into the managerial ranks. And I'm sorry, but I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have talked about this off the air. I know. Not a fan of the younger, untested guy, hadn't been there, manager. You're not a fan of that.
No. And again, if it's my money, if I'm a part owner of the New York Mets, I make jokes about it when I come in, but I mean that's his first job as a manager.
Yeah.
And this guy's got billions of dollars, and he wants a new toy. I mean, he wants the Mets to be the talk of New York, and they're not.
No.
So that poor guy, he'll probably go to somebody as a bench coach and resurface in 5 years and be a better manager because of it. So, if I'm spending my money to win, and I want to bring people in, I want that experienced guy that knows how to win. And again, Tony La Russa's proven it.
Yeah.
So look out, and I hope that trend comes back because this game's gotten way too analytical.
Speaking of that, you've got two vets heading up both teams tonight. Dodgers, Schilt and of the Cards, and Dave Roberts with the Dodgers. Guys who've been around for a number of years, respected. So you don't have that young guy aspect of this. How do you see this one?
Well, again, Roberts has been there and done that. They've won it, and their team's almost exactly intact. And if it's not, they just happen to go out and get Scherzer and Trey Turner. Are you kidding me? They went and got maybe the best offensive player in the National League and picked up maybe the best clutch right-hand pitcher in the National League in one trade. And if I asked you right now who they traded to get those two guys, I guarantee you can't answer that question.
I probably couldn't.
Okay, so the point is this. The Dodgers, they know how to win. Now, I'm going to pull for the Cardinals, okay, and there's obvious reasons. And I think that the fact is the Dodgers are home. They're going to be all jacked up and all amped up, and you're going to have some guy that's 40 years old coming at you on the mound, and with all of his experience, and the Cardinals, when you win 17 in a row, Tom, I think 19 out of their last 20.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, you forget how to lose.
Yeah.
And you ride that thing. So I'm going to take the momentum of the Cardinals, and again, for the fact that, I'm a Cardinal fan, and the Dodgers, they won it last year. That's enough. Move over. So I'm going Cardinals tonight.
I'm going to start on the American League side as we continue on the playoffs if we take a break here. But to me, the matchup of all the matchups so far would be the Astros and the White Sox. That looks to be a tier one kind of matchup.
Yeah. And again, I'm not an Astro fan because, again, they were part of the cheating scandal a couple years ago. So they got two black eyes with me. Okay, they haven't been erased yet. Dusty Baker is a great story. The fact that they did come off of that, I questioned Altuve's talent. I questioned Correa's talent because, heck, they were hitting all year with the pitches. They knew what was coming. So I'm like everybody on the street. I want to know if they're any good. So they came back this year, and they bounced back and made a good statement. Now, the other side of the coin is like Tony La Russa comes back. He pulls together a bunch of guys that are talented that were just like talented guys. No leadership, no direction whatsoever. And before you know it, you got people saying the Chicago White Sox are loaded. Well, I heard that about 2 months ago. Well, then you come down the stretch, and a couple of their arms get sore, and guess what? They just hit more. They overcame their own weakness with their bats. So I think they're loaded. I think they're a great ball club.
You got a tie there as well.
Yeah, well, yeah. And again, I hope Carlos is able to pitch. He got sore, and, he's been sore. He got over it. He made a couple mechanical adjustments over the winter and pitched really good. In fact, he pitched too good. And every time I was watching him, and he's one of the few guys I try to watch him pitch every time he throws, I started to see a little high-legged stiffness coming back, which means the guy's trying to throw harder. And the harder he tried to throw, the more people would say, well, Rodon was averaging 97.8. Now he's down into 93.5. Well, he pitches better at 93. But again, when you're trying to throw 97, that's when you hurt yourself. And he doesn't like that word, but he is sore. And, I just hope it doesn't lead to another surgery. But Again, he thinks he's going to be hot in the series. Where at, I don't know. Their pitching's pretty good.
Good kid when he was out there at NC State. Good
He's a
kid.
great kid. Great kid. And one of these shows, we'll sit around and talk about my top 10 list. He's on it.
Good. Let's shift back over now. Brewers, Braves, before we take a break, and we'll kind of wrap up our playoff talk here, at least for now. Interesting. Brewers and Braves had a struggle for more wins than the Brewers did, it appeared, this year. But still, to me, that looks pretty even.
I would say the guy in Milwaukee would probably be maybe the best manager in baseball today.
Yeah, okay.
Counsell.
Now, he's relatively young.
He's young, but the reason I say this is because he played the game. He knows the game.
All right.
This isn't a guy that you have to tell me his name 3 times before I know who he is.
Okay.
Craig Counsell played, and he's level-headed. He's very smart. And his coaching staff, he went out and picked guys that are teachers, and again, he's got a college guy on his staff. And the reason I say that, Tom, is they don't spend crazy money on free agents. But when they spend on good guys. Mm-hmm. When they trade for good guys. They're not the team. I can't even tell you their lineup. But I'll tell you this. I think he's the best, one of the best. I like the guy with Tampa Bay too. I think those are the two best managers in baseball.
Yeah.
So I'm not totally prejudiced against young managers. I just think you have to go a ways and prove it. Mm-hmm. And the guy in Tampa, for the budget that he lives on, he's fantastic. Craig Counsell, budget's not a whole lot different. So, I'm a Brewer guy.
You made a comment to me. We're going to take a break and come back.
And yet I'm rooting for Atlanta, by the way.
Oh, you really?
Absolutely.
Because of Dave's?
You got Rick Kranitz as the pitching
coach.
Oh,
yeah.
And, you
Kranitz
got to
be a good guy
you got to have a
on.
little connection to be a fan, okay? So the fan part of it, I'm rooting for Atlanta. The baseball side of it, I admire Counsell.
Let's predict, okay? Let's get after it. Okay, let's get in the American League.
Start doing that, and then somebody calls, boy, he's look what he picked. I mean, I'm picking. Okay, I had the Red Sox last night, and again they were the home team, so I'm 1 for 1.
So now they play Tampa.
Yeah, and I think Tampa wins that series.
All right.
And I go to the National League. I think the Braves I'm going to root for, but the Brewers will probably win. But I'm going to root for the Braves. I'm going to pick the White Sox over the Astros.
Okay.
I think the Giants are going to play the Cardinals, and I think the Giants are going to win that. As much as I'm a Cardinal fan,
wow.
Yeah, because I think the Giants have done that same thing. They turned on some veterans that came back, and they're playing lights out. And that guy is calm. He failed in his first managerial job, but he's a different guy now. So, to say who's going to get to the World Series, I mean, I'm saying Tampa. If the Dodgers beat the Cardinals, I think the Dodgers will beat the Giants.
Okay. All right.
I can't guarantee you they're going to beat the Cardinals tonight.
It's true. I mean, that's why they play these games. And so we're going to carry you all the way. World Series, who's playing?
I'm going to say Tampa and the Dodgers.
Winner?
Tampa.
Tampa's back again. Boy, are they going to go through that same
and
thing?
You can't even tell me their
I
rotation.
was about to say
Nobody
that.
knows their pitching rotation. And to do what they did and let 3 guys go and just continue to bring the young kids up, there's something to that, Tom, that is really hard to talk about, but they grow kids up. Tampa, they speed up the growth, the mental and physical growth of their players. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, kids get drafted, and they go into their winter camp, and they tell them, if you can do this and this over the winter, got a chance to make our pitching staff next year. And they're real because they're doing that. Now, once you become good, you're gone. They're going to get rid of you because they can't pay you. So does baseball need to either make them get a new stadium or let them keep functioning this way? Because, they spend like $4 million on their roster. And, again, this year, how much are they going to make? So that owner's making a ton of money, and it's time to put a new ballpark in Tampa.
You told me something before, I think off the air, and we're going to get to it on the air when we come back, but you made a prediction about if a 106-win team loses, look out for an expansion coming up in the playoffs. We'll talk about that after this. We are back talking baseball with Tom Holliday. All right, I kind of laid this out before we took the break. Let's just assume you're right. and the Cardinals win, that's a 106 win team, and the Dodgers, their season's over. You think that automatically opens the door for future negotiations, saying we need more playoff teams?
I do, and I think it's already been mumbled, and I think you got a collective bargaining agreement meeting coming up. I think that the Players Association, they have things they want. Major League Baseball right now, all they want is more money, and to think about this one night, this one game thing. If the Dodgers are out, I mean, they're not going to complain because the rules are already established.
Right, you know what you go on, right?
Yeah. So, but they're going to start looking at like, okay, can we maybe squeeze the season in a little bit quicker and then get into a little bit more playoff time? And the more playoff money they can make, I think this will push to the extended playoff. Okay.
Now, how many are you talking about? How many more teams?
Mean, like. Maybe you let one more team in and you just go 6 versus 1 and you just play a 7-game series and then start all over again, and play it all the way out. Now, somebody's going to, sit there and go, so what are you going to do, play baseball till Thanksgiving? Well, you know what? Football doesn't care when they start.
Yeah,
they start when they start, and they don't care when they end. Yeah. And they just added a 17th game to the NFL.
That's right.
Guys can't play 12. Yeah. Physically, they're all beat up. Mm-hmm. And baseball, you're all beat up. But if you're going to expand rosters and do what some of the teams did this year to be strong at the end, I mean, there's a lot of good finishes in baseball this year. So I do think that that's on the horizon. And I wouldn't be surprised, Tom, to see the World Series be played just like the Super Bowl.
Really?
Some fabulous city in America, whether it's Las Vegas, in that new stadium, if you can play baseball in it. Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised to see that. And then seven games. You know what tickets would cost at a World Series like that? I mean, let's face it. If you want to go to a World Series, you'll go no matter where it is.
Yeah.
You'll fly, you'll drive, whatever. Mm-hmm. There's baseball fans that'll do that. I would not be surprised to see the World Series shift. And again, it would punish the fans. But again, the fans in New York, if the Yankees were playing a World Series in Honolulu, they would go. So I wouldn't. I'm not going to say it's going to happen next year. I wouldn't be surprised in 3 years we don't see baseball go to a format that's going to bring in more money.
There's all kinds of speculation, and that's all it is. But this new contract is coming up next year. And historically, we have owners, we have players that don't necessarily see eye to eye. Comes down to the 11th hour. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to do. What major changes have you seen or heard about, maybe in your neck of the woods, so to speak, that will come out with this new contract?
Well, let's do it this way, okay? Let me do some snooping around and get the issues.
Okay.
Because issues right now that are on the street, we don't know for facts. We don't know if any of it's a fact. We know that, they're gonna fight over free agency. They're gonna fight over how many years a kid's committed to a contract, those kind of things. But there's going to be a give and take. The agents are going to win some of those battles.
Okay.
And I honestly believe that they fight to hold on to. They're satisfied, but some of the things that are being done, it's already started. The fight's already on. But when they dropped 40 teams last year. In minor league baseball. Mm-hmm. That's a mixed signal. And all the way to the draft. So why would a high school kid sign if he has nowhere to go play? There's no rookie league.
Yeah.
So now what are you saying? Well, Major League Baseball is now saying we would rather the kid in high school go to college. Well, that's okay. If you're going to do that, then you got to start pushing some of that money to college. College baseball is still stuck at 11.7 scholarships.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that kid that is being told, hey, we like you, but we only like you to the tune of $400,000, and the kid's sitting there going, well, I thought I was worth $1.5 million. He's going to go to school. So you got to give those kids big scholarships. You got to put some money into scholarships. You got to give college baseball a little bit more to work with, But there's some things that are already underway, and Major League Baseball, they want to structure from the minute a kid turns 18 years old, they want to structure him so he can be ready to play when he's 21. They want college baseball players to go straight from O'Brate Stadium right to the big leagues. I don't know if that's real. Maybe it is. Maybe it can be. Maybe the game can do that. But if it's going to happen, you're going to have to start helping some of these kids grow up. So there's a little plan there. There's a little bit of current. And I'll bring you some of the other issues. But I know from what I've seen already, that's kind of spooky.
You know, you're talking about something that we probably had to some extent back when you and Gary got here and after you took over as the head coach, where we used to jokingly refer to the Big Eight as the AAA, or kids were playing AA ball style on this level, so they didn't have to go down rookie league and all that stuff. But am I misreading? Are you talking about subsidizations from the major leagues to college? Or, I mean, who knows what the NCAA is going to be like in 3 or 4 years, but you talk about pumping money into a baseball program at the school?
That could happen. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna make the commitment, and Coach Ward used to talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
The programs that make a commitment to their program, the university, when you build a $70 million baseball state, you've made a commitment to your baseball program. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is that? Well, we're going to find out the more we play. Okay, and what Josh Holliday needs in order to bring all these good players that want to come here, he needs a little bit more scholarship money. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Major League Baseball never helped college baseball, really, never. And I see it maybe now with the formation of these super leagues, these power leagues. Maybe the television's going to get better for college baseball, and television gets better, then there's more cash flow. So it's time for athletic directors to accept college baseball as a moneymaker. They got to quit turning their head when basketball season ends and just say, oh, spring. Oh, let's just get it over with. Oh, we got a pretty good baseball team. Oh, maybe it'll get to Omaha. Well, guess what? Start planning it because, baseball is a very popular sport right now in college. And the SEC, and again, I don't like to see anybody jump out ahead, but they've jumped, and, what happened to the Big 12? Did they get caught sleeping? Maybe. But they lost 2 and picked up 4, and I think the 4 they picked up were pretty darn good. I don't think the league is going to go backwards, but they got to get on television. They got to keep up with the Joneses. The SEC, ACC got their own television network. Mm-hmm. The Big 12 has to do that.
Last thing I want to cover on this show, man, it shows you how quick this lineup goes through. we're already in the 5th inning, huh?
Yeah,
man.
That's you.
Yeah, but we got so much we want to cover. I want to get into the realignment. That's a topic all the time in football, right? You can't go 2 days without somebody bringing up the 4 teams that are brought in. But let's just assume this stays this the way it is when the Big 12 comes back together and these 4 new teams are in. Just off the top, and this might be unfair, what do you know about the 4 teams that are coming in baseball-wise? Will they be a good acquisition? You talk about Houston, you talk about BYU, UCF, and who am I losing at? There's Cincinnati. Tell me about those in general.
Okay, in general term, right? The guy at BYU is a great guy. His teams they're older, they're very talented. You don't know much about them. I mean, I had one of their pitchers this summer, really good, and I saw him when they came in here and played Josh, and so it's like, how do you find out how good players are? Well, you got to play them. Well, now you're going to see BYU. You'll see them every year, one place or the other. Central Florida could be a powerhouse. I mean, that's a sleeping
location
giant if I've ever seen one. Yeah. And, great place to go play. The coach is really good. I mean, his background's strong, and he's a good recruiter. That'll be fun to watch. That's a really tough addition. Houston should be a powerhouse in baseball. I think they're going to be good in football, but I think baseball could be their best sport.
They've teetered on being good and not good.
They've had a lot of coaching issues in
Okay.
baseball there. They've had guys come and go. They've had when they get a good year, they want to jump out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Now putting them in the Big 12, maybe guys want to stay there. Maybe now you want to try to win the Big 12, and maybe Houston will find some more money for their coaches. A lot of times college baseball coaches jump because the programs just don't have any money. If you're a good coach making $75,000 and you can jump into the Big 12 where assistant coaches are making a couple $100,000, they're going to jump. There aren't many idiots like Tom Holliday back in the 70s and 80s that are going to work strictly for the love of the program.
Just so you get out and cut the grass. That's
Yeah. So, find me a rake and a hose, and that was cool though. I'm not complaining. I'm saying the sport has changed.
Yeah.
And for the better. And Cincinnati, Tom, they have a neat little baseball stadium. They've had some good teams. They've been really like unknown, unheard of. But Cincinnati's a great baseball city.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a real high level of talent in that Cincinnati area to recruit. Now they're in the Big 12. Maybe they stay home. That Midland Redskin team is one of the best summer league teams in travel baseball. And now maybe those kids stay home and play at Cincinnati.
Because you kind of reach into some of the Kentucky area too if you got a team like
absolutely.
that now, right?
And again, now Cincinnati can say, hey, we're going to go play with the big boys. If they don't like, the staff that they have, they can go out and start putting it together and, again, pay them. But I think the conference has to get into the television world. I mean, they really do. And now you're going to get that kid that's going to the SEC or ACC that sits around watching it on television. I mean, they're doing it, Tom. Even though I know some 14s that can't sit and watch television. They'd rather play with their phone all night. But the fact is, you can get caught up on these good conferences on television.
That's the kind of stuff you're going to get every Wednesday night at 5:30. We covered a ton of stuff in a short period of time, and we're going to continue to do that every week. We invite you to be with us every week at 5:30, right after we do Where Are They Now? And we want you to join in the phone calls, too. You be part of the show. Tom Holliday's got all kinds of ways to get answers for all the questions I try to bring up. We're going to cover a bunch of things, and next week we'll know how the playoffs are going. We'll really get into that a little bit.
We'll bring a guy in. We'll talk to somebody next week.
Good. And as soon as Tom tells me who it is, we'll pass that along to you so you'll know well in advance who it is. But that wraps up show number 1 here on Talkin' Baseball with Tom Holliday. And we invite you back every Wednesday night at 5:30. We'll do it again and again and again. Appreciate Levi being with us as well. Until we talk to you again, have a good night.